Welcome to the Digital Pathfinders podcast, where we guide professionals through career transitions. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Sorry. Uh, okay, I'm just missing a comma here, man. That's what happens sometimes when I have my teleprompter. There's like a missing comma, bro. That's like detrimental to the flow. All right,
Uh,
let me start over again. I'm trying to bring this a little bit higher up so that can't really tell I'm looking at the screen so much. 1 second. Let me hide this bookmark bar. Okay. All right. Ready?
yeah.
Okay, my bad. Welcome to okay, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Digital Pathfinders podcast, where we guide professionals through career transitions, content creation, and building new income streams online. I'm your co-host Antonio, joined by my fellow co-host Danny. How's it going, Danny?
Going good, man. Excited to be here. 2025, first podcast of the year. I'm feeling good about it. I think that we have a lot of momentum. I think that the industry in general has a lot of momentum as well. I think there's big things to come in 2025, man. How's your 25 been so far?
It's been good, you know. Honestly, I've been producing some content. I'm now enrolled in Courtney Johnson's LinkedIn course,
Right, right.
sort of like the kick in the seat of the pants that I needed. Honestly, because we've been through a lot together, and whenever I sign up for
Mhm.
these challenges or these programs, I tend to produce more. But when I'm left to my own, recourse, it doesn't happen the same way. So I need to get out of
Right.
that rut of not producing content without having this push, just being in that habit of being consistent. So I was actually trying to think about what I can do in my next video. What I really want to do in light of this TikTok ban that's pretty much upon us, though, is getting into that TikTok style of literally just hitting record, speaking, and uploading it. Doing like a video a day. It doesn't even matter what you're talking about. Just getting into that habit, I think, is so important. And now that I've got a lot of experience under my belt in the content creation space, now working with Nas Company, having done UGC, actually making some money online, etc., I do have knowledge to share with others. So it's really a matter of just getting out of my way. So we'll get into some of those details in a little bit. But why don't you take us through maybe a quick recap of your year, Danny, and I'll do the same just to kind of bring our
Yeah, yeah.
audience up to speed because we're actually
Of
in
course, of
episode
course.
7 at this point. So we've
Right.
we've come a long way. We've got a long way to go, but I think it's important that we kind of provide a status to our audience.
Right. So, look, 2024 started off with me still working 9 to 5. Great job. I was working for as a regional director of operations for a national janitorial company. But the laws changed. The way that that we were functioning as a company needed to change. They eliminated my job. They gave me plenty of time, letting me know that they were going to wind down my position. That's why in June I signed up for the NAS challenge, the 10,000 follower challenge, because I thought what I had been doing for the last 20 years, always in sales, always sales adjacent type work, I felt that what I had been doing for the last 20 years was it was just less effective than it
Mhm.
was even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I think that the pandemic changed a lot of things, especially when you think about remote work, working from home. I think that there was a big industry in it already, but when everything shut down and everybody went home to work, I think that that really was like the floodgates opening up for this type of work that we're doing. So when June came around, I just thought, look, everybody's talking about um, the gig economy, people that are working 9 to 5, kind of moving away from that, and really 9 to 5 jobs like we have thought for generations, they weren't around. So that's when I started that challenge. That's where we met. That's where we started collaborating, and it was a game changer for me. Right, I have a lot of education. I have a lot of career background, but when I started doing these things, and I had never done any video editing. I had never done any podcasting. I had never done anything but post a couple of videos of me and my friends, my family on Facebook. When I started doing that, I realized that there's a whole market out there for people my age, your age, to expand their personal brand, to grow businesses. And that's really what I get excited about, is growing businesses, starting businesses, and see them grow and flourish. And the last half of the year, man, I just been pedal to the metal. I've been learning as much as I can. I've been producing content for clients that I've picked up since June, and it's pretty exciting. I see the results of putting content out there. But you're right. You're right. This thing that we're doing right now with this podcast, it's great because I see you, you see me, right? But when I'm by myself, I'm in front of the camera, I have my teleprompter or whatever I'm doing. It's just me. It's just me a lot of the times. And it gets lonely, man. It gets lonely. I think that now that I need your opinion on this one. I think now when I'm taking classes and doing challenges, the biggest thing that I get, it's not so much new information that I'm getting or big aha moments, right? The information and aha moments are there, but I think the cohort, the group, the people keeping me accountable and having tasks that are very, very specific, laid out, that are time sensitive. I think that that's really, really what has pushed me during those times in order to grow. Is Courtney Johnson like bringing a lot? I know it's the first week, but is she bringing a lot of new information or just keeping you accountable?
Well, now that I've taken the Nas Academy challenges with you, in fact, that was actually
Mhm.
a pivotal moment. I think that, honestly, you and I would not be sitting here today had it not
Right,
been for that challenge.
right.
So it's almost like the stars aligned and we were put in each other's path. And so I really
Mhm.
am grateful for having that
Yeah,
opportunity
it's been great.
to have participated. But I think the benefit of that particular challenge was far more beyond trying to strive for 10,000 followers, which very few did in that particular challenge. But the better, I guess, the bigger aspect from that challenge was just meeting you and doing these cool projects together, collaborating, as you've said.
Right.
With regard to Courtney Johnson, let me just back up a little bit. So Courtney Johnson is a person, for the listeners out there, that if you're not following her, you certainly should. She's one of the biggest LinkedIn creators out there. She's got her own podcast readily available across the different platforms. I listen on Spotify. She uses this platform called Maven, where she actually hosts several courses. The LinkedIn cohort is, I think it's actually called Level Up LinkedIn, is actually her biggest course. But on Maven, it's a great platform to launch all kinds of courses. So she's there. She's also on Patreon. I pay for her $10 a month Patreon access, in which she has like kind of special podcast episodes and different tips and tricks and very intimate kind of recordings for her audience there. But my brother, in fact, he showed me a TikTok video from her back in, I want to say, January of last year. And it was this video in which he talked about if you post every day on LinkedIn for a year, you'll basically have no issues with regard to money and opportunities and so forth. And I
Yeah, I
really
think you
took that to
mentioned that in the
heart.
past.
I really took that to heart and ended up doing a podcast, not only as a result of that, but feeling inspired by her, doing some reading and so forth, and meeting a local guy here in Barranquilla who owns a podcast studio. It was like a lot of things just came together. I convinced my brother to do a podcast. So, really, the first half of last year was learning a lot of information and applying it through online media, doing podcasting, throwing the reels up there and so forth, which has led to some clients actually reaching out to me both through Instagram and LinkedIn to do UGC's type of videos for them,
Yeah.
YouTube videos, etc. So that's really where I've been at now. And in fact, I wouldn't even be working at Nas Company today, 2 months, a couple days ago, had it not been for that challenge,
For
right?
the
So
challenge, right?
it's been a very productive year. I'm actually kind of glad to be back into a capacity of working full time because as an online content creator or creatorpreneur, solopreneur, whatever you want to call it, it can be challenging. It can be lonely, as you've said. So I'm really looking forward to taking a hybrid approach in 2025 where having enough income from my day job, so to speak. What's great about Nas is they also really allow and support you to do side hustles, which was not my experience previously. So I'm really looking to apply my knowledge in 2025 to help the audience who's listening in today.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? A lot of people, um, have that hybrid deal, right? Like I have my steady clients, they that I show up for them every single day. I make sure that I'm constant contact with them, right? And then I have these little gigs that I pick up here and there. So it's a fluid thing, right? There's some people that can monetize right away, or that can monetize down the road, and they don't have to worry about answering to anybody. But at the ultimately, there's a big spectrum of what it looks like to be working online. So, what's the biggest lessons, personally, professionally, 2024?
Biggest lessons in 2024, I would say, it's about being collaborative at the end of the day, because if you are going to really try to embark on a solopreneur kind of career as a content creator, there's going to be a lonely stretch where you're, behind the camera, you're basically the person editing and so forth. And even if you do have the resources to pay an editor and so forth, I think it's important to talk about this notion that creating content can be a lonely space, because you do have to apply yourself. You do have to ideate, you have to write your scripts, you have to plan and organize, create your calendar, so on and so forth. And unless you're like going into a co-working place, or you've got a team of other creators that you collaborate with, it can
Mhm.
be lonely. So I would say collaboration is key, which is why I really enjoyed the opportunity to do the podcast with my brother, because that was something that we did on a weekly basis for 2 months. We got to interact with the guys in the studio and that kind of thing. And some brand deals came our way. So that was probably one of the key lessons, is this notion of collaboration, that it's great to reach out. And one of the topics you and I've always talked about on LinkedIn is just getting this barrage of these inbound messages, these DMs of these people promising you the world. But basically, as I describe it, kind of go for your jugular, who go for your wallet, even before knowing your first name. So I don't like that. It just goes to show you, though, that if you do pursue what you truly want, you can make it happen. And I think it all comes through being consistent, whether it's outbound lead generation, creating content, and so forth. And so I need to take my own medicine here and be much more consistent. But I would say that those are probably some of the top lessons for me. How about yourself, Danny?
I think that the biggest lesson for me in 2024 is that at in my mid 40s, right, midlife, I don't have to be scared to try something new. I think that there's this misconception that creating content, that being online, that putting videos, that social media, all of these things are a young person's game. And I think it has been. It has been for a really, really long time. But I think that the more and more that I dive into it head first, I realize that the professional crowd, the older generation, they are understanding that this is here. It's not even the future. It's not even the future. That this is here. That the digital space is taking over larger and larger parts of the workforce. And that if you ignore it, you're going to get left behind. You're going to be left behind. And I think that we're in a very, very powerful position with the experience that we've had of 15, 20, 25 years of working in corporate, of working that 9 to 5, of gaining that experience. And now that we're starting to kind of really move forward on this digital space, I think that we have, kind of like the double shooter, right? We have the work experience, we have the knowledge, and we can move forward in a meaningful way. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that think that you need years and years of experience, or maybe courses and courses and courses. But there's very, very little things that you can do right now that'll help your career, that'll help you push forward. And that, what you were saying, doing very simple content, maybe on your phone, but just being consistent, being out there on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a gold mine. We hear it from Courtney Johnson. We hear it from Gary Vee. We hear, Daniel Paul is on there on a regular basis. All people that are just absolutely crushing it out there. And if you follow, these people, one of them, and just take little tidbits of what they say, you're going to see results if you're consistent. I think that that's the biggest lessons of it all: consistency, and don't be afraid.
Well, that was a great little sound clip right there. It's definitely a hot take for your future reel to come out of this episode. But really speaking to our audience directly, right? Being in our mid
Mhm.
40s, for individuals who are kind of contemplating and saying, "Hey, I really need to kind of get this content thing figured out." As Gary Vee always talks about, if you're not good on camera, you can do it via the written word. You can do
Mhm.
a faceless YouTube channel, etc. So it's really about finding which avenue, which vehicle works best for you. But that being said, you can no longer rest on your laurels. As we go forward in the future, It's going to be so important to showcase the kind of work that you do, right? A paper based resume or CV is no longer going to cut it, to be perfectly honest. And so,
Well,
as a
look how you
result,
got your job over at
mm,
Nas, right? You
yes,
didn't
yes.
do an interview, you didn't turn in, right? They said, "Hey, whoever wants to apply, we're going to give you 10 days to perform," and I mean, you crushed it out there, right?
Well, just to provide a recap of how I came into this job opportunity,
Mhm.
Danny, you and I, we've been participating in these, what was it, 30-day and 21-day challenges through the NAS Academy.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden, the fifth challenge that came our way was this one called Become a Nas Star. We signed up for the
Mhm.
producer challenge. There was also one for script writing and I think for editing as well, but we decided to jump into the producer challenge. And
Yeah.
over the course of 10 days, if you had a full time job, it would have been very difficult to complete, to be perfectly honest. But over 10 days, we were challenged to basically showcase our ability to learn of how to produce videos remotely,
Mhm.
ideation, coordination, the logistics, the whole notion of video production. So I was able to showcase my merit and my skills and my knowledge, and it played out well for me above and beyond getting the job. What I've most enjoyed at Nas now, kind of being on the other side, is that pretty much every single task they have thrown my way, I've been able to figure it out. The one challenge I've had is being able to create these proposals for clients because a big part of Nas Daily's business is actually managing social media management for clients, and many people don't know that, but it's actually on the website. And so as a result, Nas Daily, as I said in the past, is really the antithesis of the corporate mindset, the corporate approach being very buttoned up, very formal. No, it's about using short and impactful language that's simple, but still has depth of meaning and understanding for a wide variety of people. So it's really been trying to like change my mindset and really get into that kind of wording. So my direct supervisor, she's like, it's basically like writing a script for a video. So you need to kind of like start with a powerful statement, a hook, if you will, and just take the reader through your message, but using very succinct and powerful language accompanied with very powerful visuals, images, and so forth, all in Canva. It's amazing what you can do with Canva. I can still consider myself a novice user of Canva. If I look back to 6 months ago, I didn't even know what Canva was, to be perfectly honest. And now using Canva to create these powerful presentations, it's been a real eye-opening experience.
It's crazy to think about how young Nas is. Well, the person, but also the company and the people that make up the company, and they're cutting edge. They're figuring things out as they go along. They're blazing a trail for a lot of people. So when you talk about Nas, I'm always super interested as what's going on over there. I feel like now that you're working over there, I get kind of a quick peek at behind the curtain.
Yes. Well, in
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
Nusari Yassin, who's the founder of Nas Daily, he just moved to New York. As you'll see on his stories on Instagram,
Mhm,
he's got a new relationship with this woman, Asia Mayrock, who's a very successful content creator in her own right, a published
mhm.
author, and so forth. The amount of views that she gets on her own content in certain regards is actually outpacing and surpassing Nas Daily. So, quite an accomplishment in and of itself. But to your point, as a young man, I want to say he's only 32. He'll be, I think,
Two.
33 this year. So a young guy. I mean, I've been in Latin America now for over 10 years in Colombia, approaching, I think it'll be 15 years in October of this year being in Latin America. So I was basically his age that he is now, but he's been in the game for a long time producing short form video. And he recognizes that he can't be the face of the brand forever. And so he's constantly looking to evolve the business. So we've seen things like Nas Academy come out,
Mhm.
right? They had the Creator Accelerator program. They're doing these challenges now. They've spent a lot
Hey,
of
talking
time.
about the Creator Accelerator program, I saw that they're going to discontinue that. I saw some videos there. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't. I mean, in fact, the
Yeah.
Creator Accelerator program for professionals is still ongoing. So I'd be curious to see what video you
No,
saw.
I think it was the professional one that they were saying that this was going to be the last cohort that they kick off.
Really
Huh.
interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I saw
Well,
it. I saw the video.
it could be a result of them really wanting to focus on growing the business from a social media standpoint. As I mentioned, that Nasir is a very creative and very crafty individual, and for those that have seen some of his challenges, he did I think a 6 month religion challenge. He did a 6 month
Mhm,
money challenge. In fact, that's actually wrapping up, and he just published a video today. In fact, talking about Bitcoin. This guy, he purchased 27 Bitcoins recently. Well, not actually, not that recently. When the price was $50,000, so to purchase 27 bitcoins at $50,000 showcases the amount of investment potential the guy has in free cash flow. So he's definitely, trying to grow the business as much as possible. So there, in addition to Nas Academy, there's Nas Summits. They have these in-person events. They have Nas House, which is basically like a hotel in Dubai. And so very, very creative approaches. And so one of the pieces of feedback I got yesterday meeting with HR, my direct supervisor, was like, look, Antonio, you need to really think about your future here at Nas and what you want to do and really kind of carve out the role that you want to do. So being brought on full time, basically, moving outside of this probationary period to join the team and get to meet everybody, it's going to be very exciting. So I'll definitely be sharing some more details with you and the audience.
So 2025, looking forward, what's the goal and how do you achieve it?
Another banger of a question. I mean, I think at this point in 2025, what I want to continue to do is, first of all, number one, be consistent with my content, right? And I
We've
think
been
it's
talking about consistency, I think, the whole time
Well,
that
yeah,
we've
but I
been
mean,
doing this
but really
podcast. Yeah.
upping the ante with my content creation. I mean, I've really streamlined the process when it comes to my UGC videos for one client in
Mhm.
particular. Last month, I did 17 videos in one day, in literally a 3 hour window. I had the teleprompter ready to go. I had the scripts ready to go, and just sat down. Every couple of videos, I would change my shirt to have a little bit of a different dynamic. I would change the background colors so that the team, they don't really care if I batch record, but I've streamlined it to the point where if I could get more clients like that, that would be fantastic. So I do want to move outside of the UGC space because that's just not that profitable. I really want to get into creating my offer, right? And I don't know if that's like doing social media consultancy, social media content creation strategy. I'm not sure quite what that's going to be, but I would love to have one or two clients potentially in the podcasting space so I can supplement my income because being a full-time employee, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you've always got to diversify your revenue streams. So for me, that's my key focus is trying to create another revenue stream above and beyond UGC and above and beyond my income from my day job. And
Yeah,
how
I
about
think
you, Danny? What's your
no, I
goal
think
for
you
you?
hit it right on the nail right on the head. I would like to pick up some more clients that I can help them through podcasting or whatever other medium. I think podcast is great because you do, half an hour, 1 hour shoots. And then from there, you can dice it up and create maybe 4 or 5 hot takes that you can put on social media. But there's people that don't even understand what you need to do in order to be successful in growing your business online. For example, I talked to a couple of different people that they still have like this commercial mentality. Okay, I'm going to shoot one commercial, I'm going to put it on social media, I'm going to put a bunch of money behind it, and that's how I'm going to do this whole thing. With my client Gabriel, I've done a few hundred videos for him already in the last 3 or 4 months since I've had him as a client. And I'm seeing now that because of all these videos, more and more engagement happens for the next one that I post. Actually, the last 5 videos that I did, 3 of them surpassed all the other videos combined as far as
Nice.
views go. Right. So, uh, coaching people on how to do this on their own. And I get a lesson from Gary Vee, right? He goes, with his last book, Day Trading Attention, he goes, I'm giving it away for free. This is the playbook. This is what we do. So here you go, everybody. But you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it, right? So I think that if I give it away for free, if I tell people how to do it and coach them through a couple of things, they are automatically going to see the results 3 months, 6 months later on down the line. And I think that as long as I keep that relationship going, I think that there's going to be more business coming out of that. One of
Yeah.
the things that I
Go ahead.
yeah, one of the things that I do struggle with is if I'm standing in front of somebody and I speak to them, like they're interested in working with me. But I struggle finding that online. I struggle landing somebody that we can have a meaningful conversation, that something will butt out of it, right? So I think that my online persona, my online presence, my online consistency game needs to go to the
Well,
next
that's
level
what I
moving
think is
forward.
what needs to happen is we're very consistent in showing up in the studio time, getting these episodes
Mhm.
recorded, but we really need to do a bigger push of getting these reels out to the different platforms and so forth so people can see
Right.
us, what we're talking about. And then we could potentially experiment with doing a paid ad even a clip that we take out
Yeah.
of the long form video, don't even have it in the
Mm.
long form podcast, but really just have almost like a UGC type of video where we talk about directly to the customer saying, our ICP, the business owners out there, have you thought about doing your own podcast? It's a great way to create your own content. It's a great way to
Mhm.
build your brand. It's a great way to get more attention, so on and so forth, lead generation, and just run a paid ad on that and just see what happens, right? I think we could really draw on some people. I would say that maybe not yet because we want to have our social media platforms up and running, cleaned up, very professional. And we want to take that Gary V, jab, 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 right hook approach, not going
Mhm.
straight for the jugular from day one. That
Right.
being said, though, to your point, if you're able to gain attention and gain interest from these interactions, you've got to capitalize on the opportunity. And so having
Right.
that CTA, right? Book a call with us. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Why can't we make that happen? I mean, of the billion people in the world, of the thousands of people who may listen to this particular call, we just got to get a couple clients, right? And then from there, you
Right.
get references, you get referrals, people see your material. These guys are legit. One thing I definitely want to do this year is get some guest speakers on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about
Because
that.
one of the guys I want to invite to this particular show is this videographer from Namibia. He's actually originally from Poland, studied in the UK, but has been in Namibia for the past 25 years. I did a post on him on LinkedIn. He was basically a freelance videographer that I found for a video for a Nas Daily shoot and
Hmm.
just really connected. I was really blown away by his story that a person would want to live in Namibia. I mean, I had to look on the map where it was. I mean, people, you hear the name of Namibia,
Right.
you recognize
Right.
it's a country, right? And I knew it was in Africa, obviously, but I didn't necessarily know it was like where it was at. And I learned that despite being a very large country, territorially speaking, geography, it's massive, right above South Africa. It's a very arid country, so only like 2.5 million inhabitants live there. But you
Hmm.
look at some of the terrain, you look at some of the shots that he's been able to take, the animals, the landscape, the sunsets. It's a remarkable kind of place. So it's almost like the outback in Australia. It takes a certain personality type for someone that would want to do that and live there. That being said, here's a guy who was working a 9 to 5 in a production house during COVID, decides to basically leave the organization, starts his own company. And even though he's boots on the ground, he's shooting people in real life, in person, he's still
Hmm.
growing his online business. So I think a story like that needs to be told. He's totally fair game for that. And I think it's good.
Hmm.
It's a assistance for him, helping him with his promotion. I think
Yeah.
he'll get
Yeah.
some value as well of having a guest on the show for at least a portion of the show and
Yeah.
put it out there and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I think collaboration, as you were saying earlier, collaboration, as you're saying earlier. Um, Talking about that, how he was in one space and moved to the next, and still kind of growing his presence. Where do you think this digital marketing, this content creation, this digital new world that we're exploring, where do you think it's going in 2025? How do we keep up? How do people keep up, just in general? What's
Well,
new
I
coming down the
actually
road?
watched an Instagram reel today. And I forget his name. I'll probably put it in the show notes. His
Hmm.
name, he's a creator from the UK, right? And he
Okay.
was basically saying that we've reached that point where you cannot be this talking head talking about how to go viral on social. Basically, oh yeah, sign up for my course, this and that. I think it's really about getting back to the basics, right? About sharing value because to your point, you've given the book away. Gary Vee's given away his secret recipe in the book, but most people won't buy the book. They won't read the book. They won't even download the audio book to listen to it, right? So I think in today's uber short attention spans, it's about giving value. That being said, though, I think there is some value in doing this longer form content like this
Hmm.
particular podcast, for example. Sharing the value, sharing these stories, spotlighting those people, spotlighting how collaboration works, I think is just really going to be the way to draw in attention. Because one of the key things that stood out with me in the conversation with Courtney Johnson in week one of her course was talking about the number of inbound opportunities that she gets on LinkedIn is just incredible. A lot of them are for paid positions, others are for consulting gigs and so
Hmm.
forth. And again, this goes back to her mantra of just by posting on LinkedIn, things are going to come your way. So I think if you can really put things out there and be consistent with your message, not that you can't, vary on different topics, but just putting your thoughts and your knowledge out there, showcasing that you're a thought leader, people are going to come knocking down your door and basically offering you opportunities for sure.
So, looking at 2025 and how these things are coming down the line, what do you say to somebody that wants to get started doing more work online, creating more content, really growing their brand? They don't know where to start. They don't they need to be pointed in the right direction. What is one thing that they can do, or where's the first step? Where do they get started?
Well, I think it comes down to understanding the type of person you are. I mean, are you
Mm,
good at the written word? Do you mind being on camera? 'Cause even people that are outgoing or extroverted, sometimes they feel very refrained, I think, when it comes to actually recording themselves online. So I think getting over that hump of just being able to record yourself, speaking to the camera, speaking to the audience is a skill that you need to build at the end of the day because even if you do say a faceless YouTube, etc., you still have to have the setup. You're still recording at some point, right? So I think it's a matter of like going through the basics of just getting comfortable speaking on camera, getting over that hump of fear is pivotal. I mean, that's like the number one thing you've got to work on. So I would say, some tips and tricks you can do there is you can have a close friends group on Instagram. And actually, I think maybe only have like one friend. I think you have to have at least one friend in order for that to happen. But then just
mm.
getting used to, bringing out your phone and speaking on camera is a big way to just get over that. And even if you don't publish it to say YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're still going through the mechanics. And I think it breaks the ice for you a little bit. That would probably be the number one tip.
Yeah, and and that's very close to what I was going to say for my one tip that I could tell people. If you're scared about being online, if you're scared about looking like a fool or people looking at your things and whatever it might be that you're scared of, right? I think it's very very simple to get your phone and shoot something real quick and or go live and put up a story. A story's up for 24 hours. Even if you look like a fool, like there's not going to be any evidence left over, right? So I think that if you do that every single day for 30 days, I think that you're going to get a lot more comfortable. And the videos that you make 30 days later are going to be so different than the first couple of that you make.
Certainly. And
And you
one
know
other
that.
thing you can do is you can also do a voiceover, right? So you can like
Mhm.
literally record yourself on camera where you're just doing actions. You're like, driving in your car or you're going to the beach or whatever story you want to tell, but you're not even speaking to the camera. You put all those clips together and just do a voiceover,
Right,
right? And
right.
so there it's
I,
like half stepping, if you will, but you're still getting there.
I just got back from New York and I worked remotely. I did some content for my clients. But then I realized that I didn't shoot any meaningful holiday content. And I'm out there for Christmas, I'm out there for New Year's. But I had my microphone, the little tiny microphone you buy. I think they're $10 on Amazon. You hook it up to your phone, right? So I go, hey, I'm going to do a voiceover and I'm going to get just real generic B-roll that I can find online, Christmas related. There's so much out there, right? I went into a closet. I threw a towel over my head. I got a recording on my phone with these microphones, and like they turned out really well. They turned out really well. As a matter of fact, I got a couple of comments, people talking about like, "Hey, was that professionally done? That sounds like a radio personality voice, right?" And if they only knew that I'm sitting in this little tiny closet with a towel over my head talking to this little tiny microphone. I mean, like the whole setup, cost you $10, and if you do that voiceover, man, it turns out, and it turned out really well. And
Did
I
you post
did.
this?
Oh yeah. I posted it in Grable's account,
Oh,
and
okay.
so yeah. I'll shoot you over a link because it's
Yeah,
some of
send
it.
over the one that's done really well. I'm curious to see the growth that you've been doing that because I know he initially had some not fears, but just kind of questioning the value. But now it seems like you've turned that corner, and so now you're starting
Oh
to
yeah,
showcase.
yeah. As a matter of fact, he's running around the office being like, "Hey, so you need to look at his calendar." Put yourself down. There's been two people that have canceled on me already, right? Because excuses, right? There's nothing that can justify you not growing your business in a very simple, cheap, free
Hmm.
way, right? But he's just going around. I think in the last, I've been back since the second. Right now it's the 11th, so a little bit more than a week. I've probably shot 4 or 5 hours worth of content so far this year. Now we got to get
All
back
with
into
the Sony,
editing. What's that
with
on
the
the
Sony.
Sony?
Yeah.
On the Sony, yeah, and I got a teleprompter in the last 30 days. I got a gimbal. I got another camera, so now I can shoot a podcast with two people
Hmm.
on set. So the more and more equipment that I get, the less excuses that I have, the more excited I get about shooting content, the better that I do just overall. Now I have this ton of content. Mika, somebody that I found on Fiverr that does excellent, excellent work, always willing to go the extra mile. I feel she's like overloaded with all these things because she's editing them and pumping them out as fast as she can, and they're great. But consistency, man. Get your phone out, go live, put something on your stories, right? It doesn't have to be any crazy production value, but just do it. Just do it. And I think later on down the road, you're going to find that, yeah, maybe if I invest that $10 on that little tiny microphone, I'm going to sound better. Or, I'll play with CapCut, do a
Well,
voiceover
the
or
audio
whatever
is a
like that.
very important component. In
Mhm.
fact, I want to mention a friend of mine from Mexico. She's a ballerina, a dancer, and she started to get into
Yeah.
content creation. And I want to actually send her a comment or a message directly on a DM
Mhm.
because great on camera presence. I mean, as a performer, she's a natural performer, but the sound quality, she's not. I couldn't see a visible microphone. And I don't know if she uses CapCut. There's like this noise reduction capability or
Mhm.
function if you are a paid uh, client for CapCut. But I want to send her that notion to like improve the audio quality by using a mic. To your point, it can be $10 from Amazon or the equivalent in Mexico. You could literally buy it at at Mercado, wherever you need to go. But then
Yeah.
also just with the editing, right? To whether you're using Descript or others, or just some fine tuning of the audio, because people are forgiving for poor visuals, a little bit of scratchiness, some filter effects, whatever. But when it's the audio, to your point, where you're just using that tip of putting a towel or a blanket over you to really muffle the outside sounds. It just enhances the audio, and audio is so important when it comes to quality. I mean, look at us; we're using Shure microphones, and it really does make a big difference in the audio quality of a production.
Yeah. Uh, People can go out there and get all the equipment that they have, right? The microphones are, I don't know, 300-400 bucks. Each camera setup is like $1,000, and you could go a lot cheaper than that. You can go a lot cheaper than that, but it doesn't do anything if you're not consistent. It
Mm.
doesn't do anything, right? A couple of people have that I've talked to. They're like, "All right, so what camera do I need to get? What setup do I need? Do I need lights? Do I need this?" And you know what I go? "This is what you need right here. This is what you need right here. This is
Well,
it."
yeah, hit record, and more important than even hitting record is hitting publish, right? And so I
Right.
want to really kind of take it upon myself to do a new challenge where I can literally just do a video a day. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this TikTok ban, because it seems like it's going to go in, it's going to happen, right? And
You know,
the formula with TikTok is that it is very organic. You can't really do that same kind of video on Instagram. You don't have that same kind of impact. So I'm really curious because guys like Jeremiah, the instructor for the Nas Academy who did the LinkedIn
mhm.
course, he's doing like very raw videos every day on LinkedIn. Do you see his stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's super consistent, man. He's really, he grows his audience. He's super transparent. What you see is what you get. And I think he's
yeah,
also in his own kind of exploration phase right now, kind of post leaving the organization he founded. I think he's still trying to explore what he wants to do next. But I really tip my hat to guys like that are consistent, showing up every day, no holds barred, getting over that fear, what Courtney Johnson calls, that cringe, getting past that cringe and just hitting post.
mhm,
Because to your point, each video is going to get better, right? Whether it's editing, whether it's the audio quality, whether it's just your overall on camera presence, using a teleprompter. There's so many things you can put together to enhance your overall quality, whether it's lighting, whether it's like, building your own studio like you've done. There's all
yeah,
these little factors that over time you just add to your tool belt, your toolkit, if you will, and you'll be amazed. I mean, if I literally were to look back 2 years ago and to like showcase the studio I've built at home here and the type of videos that I've done, to tell myself the day that I saw the Nas Daily video talking about the Creator Accelerator program, to now working at Nas. I mean, I would literally be mind blown, right? And it just comes down to working on your craft every single day.
yeah. And anybody out there that is thinking that it's going to take a really long time for you to become proficient or become better, uh, I don't think that. that that's the case. I don't think that that's the case at all. I think a lot of the things that we're seeing now are very, very intuitive. I think that artificial intelligence, large language models have changed the game. I think that if you just go in there and you're consistent and you work on improving little tiny things, you'll see massive, massive growth. Not only in the way that you produce content, but also massive growth in your personal brand and your business. In your business,
Well,
everybody
yeah.
talks about consistency.
Sorry about that. I didn't interrupt you.
No, no, everybody talks about consistency. They don't talk about getting it perfect. They go, get it out there, get it out there. Yeah.
Well, artificial intelligence is something we haven't talked about in depth necessarily on our most recent issue or
Hmm.
episode, but it's so important to really understand artificial intelligence because there are so many people out there that still have never used ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Claude or the numerous other tools that exist out
Perplexity.
there.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that AI, I'm reading, is going to start replacing some jobs in 2025, whether it's like customer support, etc. But at the end of the day, it's not going to replace everybody. But people are, we've talked about this in the past. People that
Hmm.
are going to get replaced are people that that don't know AI are going to be replaced with people that do know AI, right? So instead of a person having a team of 5 in the past, they're going to have a team of 5 AI chatbots, right? They're gonna have that kind of team as opposed to actual physical people. And so it
Hmm.
just really, that's the key message from me today is like, look, guys, you've got to experiment with AI from a content creation perspective, from a script writing perspective, problem solving perspective, analytics. I mean, you can literally throw any problem at ChatGPT and you'll be dumbfounded. You'll be blown away at the responses.
And AI needs somebody at the wheel. Right now, it does a lot of things, but it doesn't ideate
Mhm.
by itself. You
Yeah, you
need
have you have
to
to give it the
push.
prompt.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not going to
And
just do the work for you.
you're talking about Canva, right?
Mhm.
I can't think of any business that wants to be successful that couldn't leverage Canva and the AI in Canva in order to do better presentations, do better PowerPoints, do better flyers, do better engagement online. I mean, and it's super intuitive. Like
Mhm.
a lot of the times, I don't realize that what I'm doing is using artificial intelligence as I'm creating all these things, but I just click the button and it formats it to the right color, to the right scheme, to the right size, uh, things like that, right? I was in New York here recently, and I said AI, and somebody goes, "The robots are going to take over. We're going to lose all our jobs," and I didn't want to argue with him because he was making arguments that were that weren't real. That weren't real. But what I wanted to say was like, this is going to create a whole nother way for us to work. And yeah, we might lose some jobs, but we're going to create a ton more jobs, right? People were worried when the automobile came out. People were, working a plow before tractors came up, right? And people are still working. People are still working.
Mhm.
That industry went away, but mechanics and lube shops and manufacturing, all of those things added more jobs to the workforce,
Yeah.
and I think that's going to be the same thing that we're going to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the technical divide, I think, is really going to continue to grow even farther, right? So basically, if you want a high-paying job, you need to develop those skills. And
Hmm.
honestly, artificial intelligence, at least on the most basic consumer level, is still relatively new. I mean, only since late 2022 has it had this wide level of
Right.
access. And only
Right.
recent iterations of ChatGPT and these different models have really gotten more powerful.
Right.
So, it's not too late. Maybe you're not the earliest adopter, but don't be a laggard, right? You want to basically get your hands wet now, play with it, understand it, get familiar with it, and you can be compensated. If you understand AI, you literally can get a job becoming an AI expert and working for somebody else. Or to the earlier comments you were making about, teaching others how to use these tools is really one of the probably the easiest ways to make money online is just sharing your knowledge and experience.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that we're getting kind of close to wrapping it up here, but I wanted to have a conversation about what our audience should expect from Digital Pathfinders podcast in over the next year.
Well, I think at the end of the day, look, we're here to showcase and share our experiences. When we first started this podcast, I was a freelancer, I was a solopreneur, a creatorpreneur, primarily focused on doing UGC type of videos for clients, also doing some podcasting, consulting, working with particular clients to help them build their podcast. But I think we want to continue to showcase all the things that we know how to do. And also, I think the biggest change going forward will be bringing on guests, right? Plugging those gaps of our in our own knowledge where we don't know, and having those people showcase and share their knowledge to our audience, with our audience, etc. I think it's going
Mhm.
to be a great opportunity not only for us to learn as the co-hosts, for our audience as well. It's all about getting exposure to even know what the realm of possibilities are out there. So I would say, more of the same as far as sharing what we do know, and also sharing our new skills that we continue to build, but then also bringing experts, I think, will be the biggest change that our viewers can look forward to in this year.
Yeah, I would love to learn from people out there that are doing different things or doing the same things that we're doing to in another higher degree. I think that,
Yeah, well,
there's a lot
let's
of
let's, let's
potential
aim
there.
high for the type of guests that we can get. I'd love to have Courtney Johnson come on. I think she would be open to it. And so, I think if we get a
Well,
Courtney Johnson on our podcast, that's, it's a great way to really propel ourselves going forward.
yeah, 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 and you have a direct line to her right now since
Yes, yeah.
you're part of her
You got to
cohort.
strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, and she's doing it, man. She's
Oh,
doing it. I'm super, super impressed. You know who I've also been really, really impressed with, and I found her organically. I just did a quick search on a couple of things that I had, and I saw one of her videos, and I just started kind of reading up on it. Modern Millie. She, you know what caught my attention is that she was putting all these things consistently,
hmm
and then she had a period where she burnt out and she disconnected entirely. But she was so real about it. She was like, these are the things that I'm struggling with. These are my frustrations. This is why I'm, leaving. She said she was going to leave Instagram at one point, and all, right? And then she went dark for a little while. And then she came back and she's like, dude, I unwinded. I did this over here. Things completely that you can't do without being disconnected. And she was so, so real. And I think that ever since she did that, her content has just gone to a whole nother level. And I think that I really, really like her. She's raw. She's funny. I think that Courtney Johnson is like in your face, right?
hmm
She's like unapologetic.
Yeah.
But Modern Millie is a little bit more like funny and friendly and a different type of personality, but doing her thing very, very, very well, just like Courtney
Yeah,
is.
well, I commend anybody that's on multiple channels, right? Getting
Yeah,
on YouTube, being on TikTok, being on LinkedIn. It takes a lot of time and effort, but repurposing your content is where it's at. And so I want to get on that boat myself.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, yeah, to wrap things up, Danny, I think another great episode in the books, number 7,
yeah,
2025, ushering it in with a lot of helpful knowledge, I hope, for our audience. And
yeah.
yeah, any final thoughts as we close out?
The only thing that I can think about is I'm worried about TikTok going away.
Mm,
Uh, and I'm reminded of what Gary Vee says all the time. He's like, I'm not married to a platform. He goes, I'm not even married to social media. I have no emotional attachment to it. Right now, that's where the attention's at, right? TikTok, everybody's talking about it. But if it does go away, there's going to be something else.
yeah,
There's going to be something else. And we have to constantly be evolving and pivoting from where the attention's at right now, where the money is to be made, to the next thing, to the
that's
next thing.
you're
Yeah.
right about that. It's about chasing new opportunities and not staying stuck. So
Yeah.
yeah, great episode,
Yeah.
Danny. I think we can
Great
probably wind this
episode.
one
Yeah.
down,
One more in
and
the
looking
books.
forward to the next session.
Yeah. 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 Hopefully everybody will start, giving us some feedback on it. We'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, and definitely drop in comments, questions you have. We'd love to respond to you guys.
Mhm.
And so stay tuned for the next episode.
Stay tuned. That's a wrap.